I just hope that the cheerleaders that have been appointed for this IPL have got a clause for either overtime or workload in their contracts because after every second delivery, they've got to get on their dancing podium and start making their moves because the number of fours, sixes that are being hit in this IPL, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, what do you describe and how do you analyze a game like today where SRH once again flexing their muscles, out muscling a team with the sheer pressure of the runs that they put up on the board. Sarvesh, every time we think we've seen it all in this game, it continues to kind of um, hit us in the backside and show us something new. Your thoughts on the massacre, the carnage, the bludgeoning we saw in Delhi today?
No surprises. This was the third score from SRH, which went above 260, 266, 277, and 287. So I think they are now getting used to with such kind of scores. But I think from the overall context, if you are having so many scores of 250 and above, because let's not forget RCB also made 262. Mumbai Indians also came very close to 250. They scored 246. So now we are having how many? Five scores of close to 250 or more. So I don't think that's a good sign, good endorsement for any league where where only one department is dominating the other department and there is no balance. So from that perspective, I think I'm a bit worried about how things are going right now. And I mean, we have this impact rule has been there for like more than 1 year now. But you would currently that almost everyone is talking about it now. The reason behind that is the the imbalance between bat and ball this season has been massive. So I think no, we'll have to sit back and see what's going on because 266 for seven, uh, and in reply also DC almost made 200 and they were in the game for 10 12 overs. So I think this is not this domination, this single-handed domination is not good. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed that we saw another very high scoring game today.
You're disappointed about the fact that we saw a high scoring game, but there might be some people who might be disappointed with the 266 because we had a record shattering power play today across not just the IPL but entire T20 spectrum.
Yeah,
There's not been a single T20 game played in the world ever where 125 runs were scored in the power play.
yeah,
And at that rate, 300 was on the cards today. And so there will be people who are disappointed that SRH didn't get to 300.
yeah, absolutely. At one point, it looked like 6 overs, 125 for zero. At that time, I felt now 300 is almost within reach, and they lost some momentum there. But despite that, I felt they will at least cross 270 is what I felt, because 272 is the third highest score of the season. I think it came against Delhi Capitals. I think KKR scored 272. I felt the SRH might cross that, and then the top three scores for this season will be for SRH. This is what I thought, but in the end they lost some wickets, and they could not cross that. But I think even 266 is it's a massive score. I mean, for more than 10 years we had that 263, that record for it stayed for more than 10 years, and now suddenly we have four scores of crossing that to 263, and RCB almost equal that 263, that record of 263. So I think this is something very ordinary. This is very abnormal, and I tweeted this some time back that this season itself it looks like an outlier, because this is not normal. What this consistent scores of 260 and above, and then again the chasing team also coming close to that. This is not normal. I mean, we have never seen.
I mean, one of the things of that 263, and it was a long time back, but I remember the reason we had a score of 263 was because
Okay,
one
yeah,
gentleman played an absolute freak innings.
yeah,
175, you can just say like it was a one-off day where
yeah,
everything came off his bat, hit the middle, went out of the park. But what we are seeing now is not just one person.
yeah,
This is just a combined team effort, which is
yeah,
getting these scores. Everybody's coming, everybody's smashing it,
yeah.
and yeah, there's no respite for the bowlers at all. Um, we've got the summary on our screens there. 266 for 7 in 20 overs SRS. Thanks to once again Travis Head. We've seen that before. Abhishek Sharma. We've seen that before. Nitish Kumar Reddy, and a new name to the list now. Shahbaz Ahmed. Finally, we know what he's capable of with the bat. But today was his day, and he's put up a brilliant score there again. Let's talk first of all about this blockbuster opening partnership. Now, these guys have never opened before in their lives, but yet they come together, both left handers, and just go hammer and tongs at the bowling without any fear. And the consistency which they come off is just brilliant, isn't it?
I don't know what to expect from this pair now, because they have been scoring quick runs. They have been scoring at this rate for like 2-3 games in a row now. They haven't been disappointing anyone. I mean, when SRH are playing these days, you almost sort of expect these two guys to give you a quick start, and maybe 6 overs, 80 runs, 80, 75, 80 runs is becoming a new normal for SRH. So at some point they are not going to score those many runs, and you would feel that they're having a below par game at that time. But I mean, that's the kind of standards that these two are setting now, because scoring in excess of 70 runs inside power play used to be a good. I mean, you would count that as a good benchmark. 70 runs in that power play without losing a wicket used to be considered as a good benchmark. But today they, they made, I think, 125 for zero. They didn't lose a wicket for 125. So I think that's the new normal that these guys are setting, and I mean, this is very scary, to be very honest.
I mean, just look at some of those numbers. They both, if you add their scores, they've scored 135 between them,
From 44
which is more
deliveries.
than
Yeah,
which is more than half the runs in 44 deliveries,
yeah,
which is way less than half the deliveries.
yeah.
They've hit 13 boundaries and 12 sixes between them. So that's, 13 and 12 is 25 of those 44 deliveries have been dispatched to the fence. I mean, whichever way you look at these numbers, they're just unbelievable. Um, what has Abhishek Sharma done between last IPL season and this IPL season? Has he gone and had like a DNA change? Has he gone and had some sort of I don't know what to say, but he just looks like a completely different player this season.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Brian Lara's comments on him, and I know that somebody like Lara, he rates Abhishek Sharma very highly. So I think that's one thing he had backing of Brian Lara even last season when he was not scoring he was not that consistent. The Abhishek Sharma we are seeing in this season is very different from what we saw before. So even in those previous seasons, he was getting backed by Brian Lara, who used to be a part of that SRH think tank. So now that tells you that tells you something about his ability, because these guys are very good at spotting talents at this very early age. And when somebody like Brian Lara backs you, that tells you that you have that caliber in you. So I think he always had it, but I think just like we are seeing with Riyan Parag now, that something is clicking for him and he has worked out uh, a few things on his game. I think similar thing has happened with Abhishek Sharma. I think these guys have gone back and they know what to do. They have worked out on they have done some changes, minor tweaks, and they have worked out on their game. I think no, what we are seeing with Abhishek and Riyan Parak, it's you should give a lot of credit to these guys and their coaches.
When I was watching the game, I was actually thinking of another analogy because that's what I do. I look at game situations and I try to think about life situations that they represent. One of the things that came to my mind is I thought of extra rich families. The families who have got who've been rich for generations. And I think one of the analogies I use to describe SRH in this game is the fact that um, one generation, and you can call Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma that generation, made all the wealth, you know, created all the wealth, and then the next generation just took their time to eat through that wealth. It didn't matter if they went hard, it didn't matter, they didn't need to take any risks in life because all the risks were taken at the top by the previous generation, and this generation just sat on the laurels of the previous generation and just cantered to 266 because the foundation was laid by these guys to such an extent that they didn't have to do anything special. I mean, the slowdown was very noticeable. It was of epic proportions, but even after that slowdown, and they got a good finish from Shabazz, which helped, but still, they just got to 266 without breaking a sweat in the end.
Yeah, yeah. 22 sixers in that innings, and 12 were hit by Abhishek and Travis Head. And 13 out
Yeah.
of those 18 boundaries, 13 were hit by this pair, and that came in the first half of the innings. So the second half was fairly better, comparatively better for Delhi Capitals. And I think the way they controlled with the spinners, I think uh, it was actually, I mean, I was actually glad that they could control that middle overs phase with Akshar and Kuldeep Yadav, because these are the guys who are going to represent you in that World Cup. So I felt that this was a uh, uh, much needed breaks that they applied with these two guys. So yeah, something worked for them finally for DC. But yeah, 22 sixes for SRH in this game. You rightly mentioned, and all the hard work, most of the hard work was done by that top two. So if you remember, a couple of days back, I said 22 sixes in one innings is the record in IPL. This was created by SRH a few games back, and now they have equaled that record, 22 sixes again. So now they are making this habit of creating new records in every game.
Right, let's look at that bowling card because it's not going to make for very good viewing, I'm sure, after this carnage that we witnessed. As you can see, that one, two, three, four, fifth column from the left, you've got economy rates there, and look at those 17, 20.5, 10.33, 13.75, 14.25. Then comes Aksar Patel. Thank you so much, Mr. Patel, because without you, we had 300 on the cards today. I mean, he bowled beautifully in that middle phase. I felt he was a bit lucky that he wasn't asked to come in bowl in the power play because of the two left-handers that were going absolutely gung-ho.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, he came in, he put the brakes on. Those brakes kind of resulted in wickets for Kuldeep Yadav at the other end, who got taken for plenty in that over that he bowled in the power play, but then came back strong to finish with 4 for 55.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those out of those 55 runs, 42 runs were scored in sixes. So those runs were scored in seven deliveries. So out of those 24 deliveries, seven went for sixes, and then for the rest of the 13 deliveries, I think yeah, he scored, he considered only in singles and doubles and eight dots. So even at the end of the day, 4 wickets, 55 runs, it still looks decent because of the kind of this kind of total SRH created against them, 266. So it still looked decent because you have other bowlers who are considered at 17 and 20.
Absolutely. Like one of the metrics I always use is what was the innings run rate? It was 13.3.
Yeah.
So if you're going at 17 and you're Khalil, you've done your team no good. If you're Lalit Yadav and you've gone at 20.5, you've done a disservice to your team. Andrik Nokia should be very proud of 31 from his 3 overs, and Akshar Patel should probably get a Arjuna award for that spell of his, giving only 7.25. But yeah, such is life, and such are days. We've probably seen the Delhi wicket for the first time in this tournament, and boy, are there going to be some high-scoring games on that surface in the days to come. In response, we had the Delhi Capitals. And they started in a very, very similar fashion. Slam bang, slam bang. Prithvi Shaw hit the first four balls of Washington Sundar's first over to the boundary, got out on the fifth. David Warner followed him next. But then in came this young Australian, Jake Fraser McGurk. Now, to put things into context, you had Travis Head, who got a 50 of 16 deliveries in this game. Jake Fraser McGurk comes in and gets a 50 of 15 deliveries. So he matched them shot for shot, and some of the sixes that he hit seven of them. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, I mean they needed this kind of a response from somebody in that second innings, and unfortunately, this was not David Warner's day because David Warner is one player who you want to get that move on in earlier in that innings when you are chasing 266. But unfortunately for DC, it did not happen. But then they have the services of Jake Fraser McGurk now, who is now coming at number three. We saw him opening for a few games as well. I think, I mean, we all knew what to expect from him. But I think coming to IPL and starting on this note, I think this tells you about his credentials, and credits to DC management that they roped him in this for this season. So I think yeah, this has been one of the bright spots in this very dull DC season. And I think yeah, this he I mean the kind of shots that he is playing right now, it looks incredible. And just because DC are not winning, I mean those his innings that I mean those innings are getting unnoticed. But I think yeah, but a lot of credit should be given to the way he's playing right now.
Yeah, when he and Abhishek Porel were going, DC were right in
Yeah,
the game because they were keeping up with the asking rate. They were keeping up with the number of boundaries, and everything was coming together nicely.
yeah.
But what followed next? I mean, I've tried long and hard to think about an explanation for it. Now, should we put it down to fantastic bowling by SRH? Should we put it down to just poor batting by DC? I don't know what to say, but Tristan Stubbs, Rishabh Pant, Lalit Yadav, Akshar Patel, 10 of 11, 44 from 35, 7 of 8, and 6 of 8. Those numbers are never going to win you when you're chasing 267.
Yeah, yeah. So they needed somebody to play the DK kind of innings because we saw in that RCB game they scored 262 in the reply, and one of the reasons for that 262 was Dinesh Karthik, who scored quick runs at the back end. And they needed somebody to just keep the momentum going. That did not happen. Even in Mumbai Indians game, we saw that once that momentum was lost in those middle overs, they found it very difficult because even they were going at a very good rate. But once the SRH bowlers that those middle overs bowlers once they derailed that run chase, they never came back on. So I think we saw similar things today, similar pattern today. Stubbs, Pant, and Lalita, these guys could never get a move on from there. I mean, Rishabh Pant, he played 35 deliveries. I think I don't know what was going on in his mind, but I think he didn't look very comfortable there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things with him is because he's coming back after such a long time. If he had played such kind of an innings at the beginning of the tournament, he would have still had an excuse that he's still finding his way and he's scratchy and all of those things. But we saw him at the beginning of the tournament scratch around for a couple of games. Then he found his rhythm. We saw a couple of innings where he started going from ball one, which is why this innings is hard to understand. And he was really struggling there. Didn't look at any time settled, and just no timing, no kind of rhythm or no kind of momentum in his innings. And it would not be unfair to say that that innings absolutely killed the run chase for the Delhi Capitals today.
Yeah, yeah, completely agree with that.
Right. So, what was it that SRH did right with the ball? Because we saw some phenomenal economy rates there, and you can see Washington Sundar going for plenty. There was Sabaz Ahmed who went for plenty in his 1 over, and so did Mayank Markande, but he did pick up a couple of wickets. But in a 267 run chase, if you're bowling 4 for 19, should we call him Jasprit Natarajan, or should we call him T Bumrah?
I mean, we T Natarajan after a lot of time, I think he looked very effective today. Uh, the kind of Yorkers that I mean, we know his ability to nail those Yorkers, not just bowl. So I think it's a very good sign that somebody like him is coming back in form, because when you are so close to a World Cup, you can never leave anybody out of contention. I don't know if he's still in contention for that, but a left arm, a seamer, doing that job for you, bowling those difficult overs and picking those wickets is always a good sign. And he needed this kind of an innings, this kind of a performance today with the ball. And I think I'm glad that it came out for him, because bowling 14 dots out of 24 in this massive ranches is it's never easy. I mean, even just if you forget those wickets, the kind of dots that he bowled, I think that created the pressure for him, and they eventually got wickets because of that.
I think the thing that I loved best about him is that, we speak about what's in the bowler's uh, capacity. How can bowlers in this day and age stop batters? And he showed today that with a good line,
Yeah,
no width at all, cramping people for room, bowling lengths which are hard to hit. And he had that ground mapped perfectly. Everything was full, everything was straight. You had to hit him down the ground, and he
yeah,
wasn't letting you get under the ball to kind of get that elevation.
yeah,
And mix that with his slower deliveries and cutters and whatever he bowls. It was just a treat and an absolute masterclass
yeah.
in showing the other bowlers that even on a pitch like this, and even in the modern day with the bats and the stadiums and the pitches that we have, you can still find ways to be effective. And that's what I like to see about him.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is Natarajan's USP. So he's known for bowling such lengths, and he's that's kind of a bowler. I think I'm very glad, like I said again, very glad that he's again coming back in form and is now looking good.
Absolutely. So that was that. I mean, they got 299 for 10, but SRH winning by 67 runs. Just get a hang of that, our viewers and listeners. 67 runs the difference. So a huge margin, a huge fillip once again to their net run rate, I'm sure. Which,
Yeah,
if we can have a look at our table, and it has been updated. And look at that, second position now for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. 7 matches, 5 wins, 10 points, and a net run rate of 0.914.
yeah,
Um, Question for you, Sarvesh. I mean, we've kind of now come to an understanding of how they're going to approach this IPL and how they're going to play and what their template is. But with sometimes with high risk comes also um, the fear that one day this might not go right, and that could be in one of the knockout games, and
exactly.
and that is the only fear for this team, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, despite scoring 287, 277, and 266 today, you would expect that net run rate would be somewhere around 2 or 2.5 or maybe 3, because when you score almost 250 every other game, then you're bound to win it by a huge margin. But to be honest, that is not happening, and I've been pretty vocal about this, that if SRH, if they have to win this season, they will have to improve their bowling, because they have been conceding runs as well. They have been scoring good amount of runs, but they have been conceding a lot of runs as well. And there's one interesting stat that I wanted to show our viewers, that this is the sixes leaderboard, and the SRH have hit 99 sixes so far in the season, and next best is 77 Mumbai Indians. But that's not the point. The point is that they have it 99 and they are leading this race by some margin. But also look at the second column, which says sixes conceded. They have conceded 79. Now 79 is like, I mean, it's after RCB. That's the maximum that we have got. So they have also considered second most number of sixes. So like you said, that one day they might feel that they are 20 or 10 runs short. One day their batting may not click, and that on that day they would feel that their bowlers need to step up a bit. But their bowlers, till this moment, I feel they have been lacking that control. Apart from that Natarajan in performance today, I think I haven't seen those kind of performances from their bowler. But so I think their bowler should be doing a bit more, because you want your team to win by a good margin when you score those many runs, and that is not happening. So I think maybe one area to improve for SRH is clearly the bowling.
I guess one telling stat from that graphic is also the fact that Mumbai Indians, although they've scored the second highest number of sixes in the tournament, they're nowhere near the top four as far as the league table is concerned,
Exactly,
which just shows that it's no good hitting them if you don't save them.
exactly.
So my dad used to always say to me, and it's a life lesson that I've always learned in life. He always said to me, it's not about how much money you make in life, it's always about how much you save.
Yeah,
And he said you could be making $1 million, but if your expenses are $990,000, then you're only saving $10,000.
yeah,
Whereas if you make $100,000 and save 50, you're actually better off.
exactly.
Yes, so something for maybe Mumbai to look at and consider. If we get back to that points table now and just look at what that does to Delhi, I mean they're still in seventh position, and as we say, still technically not out of this tournament because they'll need to win 5 games out of their last six now if they need to get to 16 points. The net run rate's not great, so they're going to have to win them by some decent margins as well. Um, uh, Down but not out is how I would call their season at
Yeah,
this point.
yeah. I mean, they are just hanging by a very thin thread right now. They would, like you said, they will need 5 wins out of 6. That's not impossible, but that looks improbable at this moment for any team, not just for DC. I mean, even the teams sitting at the top, it looks very unlikely that they would win most of their games. I mean, teams are bound to lose 1 or 2 games here and there. That is going to happen. So pulling this off, pulling 5 out of 6 wins is never easy for any team. So I think it is going to be a difficult season going forward. I mean, it has been a difficult season till now, till this point, and I think it will continue for DC. They will have to keep finding new heroes and new players like Jake Fraser, McGurk, and they will just have to look out for positives. I think that's the only thing that they can do at this moment.
Absolutely. Um, we've come to almost the halfway stage. I think there's only KKR who hasn't played. um, 7 games yet, and they are playing tonight or tomorrow, wherever you are in the world. And they have their chance to play their seventh game tomorrow against the Royal Challengers Bengaluru. The last time these two sides met, KKR put on a record score against in Bengaluru. Now they're playing at the Eden Garden, so this is the reverse fixture. Head to head, neck and neck there, 5-5. But KKR definitely looking like the team that you'd want that you'd have your money on, Sarvesh.
Yeah, they are looking much better. They are sitting at number three right now. They have lost two matches, but you would feel that one of those matches were pretty. Match was pretty close. I think they should have won that game. I think still 4 wins out of 6 is still a good sign, and uh, they are going to face RCB, who have lost now 5 games in a row. So I think they will back themselves to win that game, and they would look to go at number two position. They will because things have been working out well for them despite their despite poor from their key strike bowler. I think they are still doing very good so far because there are plenty of things kicking for them. Sunil Narayana is working for them, and then Harshit Rana, Arora, Vaibhav Arora, and Ankrish Raghuvanshi. There are so many positives for them, and also, of course, I mean, the kind of performances that their key bowlers are putting right now. I think everything is looking good for them. I think if things go normally, no, normally for them, I think they would back themselves for a win again tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, if one telling stat there, if you look right at the top, if you see the current form
Yeah,
of both the teams, uh, KKR with 3 greens and 2 reds there, whereas it's all red for Royal Challengers Bangalore at the moment.
yeah,
Their jersey is red, but their form also is in the red, and yeah, not looking too good. The other telling stat is that these games are normally very one-sided games because the average winning margin between the two teams is 46 runs,
yeah,
or games are finishing in the 16th and the 17th over.
yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we get to see an exciting game tomorrow. A close contest is what all the fans want, but past history is telling us that it could all be a
One
one-sided
sided.
affair tomorrow.
Yeah,
Who do we have next? We've got the Punjab Kings and the Gujarat Titans. Again, Gujarat Titans very new to this tournament, so not a lot of history to go by. But they are playing in Mulanpur.
Mullapur. Yeah, yeah, Mullapur.
Yeah, Mulanpur, and again a middle of the table kind of muddle here because both teams have shown sparks of brilliance, have shown that so Gujarat in eighth place and the Punjab Kings in ninth. So one of them with a win tomorrow could just pip Delhi and move up.
Yeah, and whoever loses tomorrow is probably going to join Delhi Capitals in that difficult ride, because then it's going to be very difficult. If you're losing 5 games, then it's almost impossible for you to come back. So I think whoever wins tomorrow, I think will keep their hopes alive, and whoever loses, I think will have to sadly look for positives apart from results.
I think Punjab needing that win more than Gujarat, just
Yeah,
looking at their table, because
yeah,
if they lose tomorrow, they will be 6 losses
yeah.
out of 8 games,
8.
and that is in the same place that Bengaluru will be
Yeah,
if they lose tomorrow as well. So I think that's going to be curtains for Punjab and Bengaluru if they lose tomorrow, to be honest.
yeah,
So yeah, both teams in a must-win situation.
yeah.
Anything else from that card that catches your eye, Sarvesh?
I think at Mullapur we have seen all the matches they have been going in last 2-3 deliveries, till last 2-3 deliveries.
Yes.
19.4 is the average overs played to chase the target, and the winning margin is also just about 5.5. That tells you that this ground has some good close matches in store for us. So I think this could be another close encounter, and yeah, if you remember these two, I think I don't remember. I think it was Ashutosh Sharma again. I think he played another good innings against Gujarat. I think
Yeah.
against, yeah, Mohit Sharma, and he could he
Yes.
they could not control. I think they felt that they had this game in control, but it was
Yeah.
Ashutosh Sharma. Yeah,
Yeah, and look, I'm just glad that tomorrow we are likely to see a 170, 180, 190 game instead of this 250 plus rubbish that we've been seeing so far in the IPL. Yeah, anything else to add before we call it good night on this Saturday night for you, Sunday morning for me?
I think just let's just hope that we will have good good contest tomorrow with both bat and ball. That's the only thing that I'm hoping these days because it's becoming pretty one-sided at the moment. So I hope that we'll get a good game tomorrow, good games tomorrow, and both will be. And I'm hoping that we don't cross again 250 tomorrow. So yeah, hoping for good games tomorrow.
Yeah, also a timely reminder that tomorrow we're going to record a special program. We are at the halfway stage of the tournament, which means it's time to look at this stage who are likely to make it to India's squad of 15 for that T20 World Cup. Who are the front runners? Who are definites? Who are maybes? What's going to happen? And how it's all going to unfold. Snick Commenter podcast will give you their 15. We're going to have a couple of special guests as well on our show tomorrow, so I'm really looking forward to that. As much as I like Sarvesh, a new face in our panel is always a welcome change. And I'm sure Sarvesh feels the same about me sometimes. But yeah, until tomorrow, we'll bring you that program. We'll also bring you be with you tomorrow morning and tomorrow night to talk about both those games from Super Sunday. Yeah, but if you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe to our channel so that you get the notifications. Follow us. We've actually started putting some reels on Instagram now, and they're doing really well. So go and catch our Instagram page, go and watch our Twitter feed, and go and watch our YouTube channel. We love doing this stuff for you. But thank you for watching. We love doing this, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.